Hi, this is Travis with POSGuys.com. Today we're going over impact receipt printers. Impact receipt printers are kind of an older technology. They used to be really popular probably about 15 years ago. But since then, thermal printers have kind of taken over. Thermal printers are quieter, they print faster, they can print graphics better. However, impact printers still have an advantage in certain ways, and they are still the primary printer used in a kitchen. So oftentimes they are now called kitchen printers rather than impact receipt printers. The main thing that impact printers do better than thermal printers is dual color. So I have two different impact printers here. You can see it has two colors on it. So you have black text for some items and then red text for things you want to highlight. Or in this Windows logo, the logo is partially red, partially black. So there's kind of that ability to do two colors. And that really is useful for a kitchen type of thing where you're pulling down a ticket and you want to note like medium rare on the steak or no mayo on a burger, something like that, where you really want to stand out. The dual color helps with that. Additionally, what thermal printers do worse than impact printers is longevity. Thermal uses heat to create the darkness on the paper, to create the words and graphics. Over time, if it's exposed to sun, to heavy, hot temperatures, or hot surfaces like a heat strip under the window, or next to a fryer or next to a stove, then it turns either yellow, brown, or even black. So it becomes unlegible, or if you need a receipt to last for a long time, more than just a couple months, then there's a chance that it'll fade or be difficult to read. So that's kind of two areas that impact printers stand out. Impact printers can still be used as receipt printers in a pinch. They are just loud and slow. I'll print a receipt here. So it prints out and it makes a lot of noise, but the graphics still work. You can see that the font is in different sizes, kind of have some lines there. So it still works, it's just a little louder, a little slower. For Windows, primarily you're going to use Epson or Epson emulating printers. So this is an Epson TMU220. It's the most common of all the impact printers that we sell. This is a POSIX impact. It looks very similar to the Epson, and in fact the way that it prints is exactly like the Epson. So that's why it's called an Epson emulating printer, because it'll print in the same format. There's different emulations. There's a Citizen emulation, Star emulation, and depending on the software, it'll print differently. Sometimes the different size fonts will only be available with Epson emulating printers, where a Star printer or a Citizen printer might only have a single size font. So that's kind of the difference in emulations. Generally check with your software, but Epson emulating printers have been the most popular format for quite a long time. As far as interface goes, generally it's going to be Ethernet interface. Ethernet allows a longer range, so especially if you're using it as a kitchen printer and the kitchen printer is not next to the computer, you're going to need to be able to put the printer wherever you want. Ethernet is the most flexible for spacing it out or putting it in a different spot. So Ethernet is the most common. USB is somewhat common. If you know you're going to be right next to that computer, then you can get like a 20-foot USB cable and go with a USB interface. For iOS and mobile printing, Star is generally more used than Epson. It will depend on your app. Your app can only use printers that it's been configured for. Generally, the app will look for certain printers on the network. Again, you're going to be using Ethernet printers, maybe a Bluetooth printer, but Ethernet is recommended over Bluetooth because of stability. But once that printer is on the network, the app will look for it, the app will recognize it, and then you can start printing to it. If your app has not been configured to use that type of printer or even that model of printer, it won't find it and you can't print to it no matter how much you like that printer, whether it's feature-wise, speed-wise, price-wise. It can only use printers Auto cutter is highly recommended for a kitchen. It will be a partial cut, so we'll cut through the majority of the receipt and then just leave a little bit hanging either on the side or in the middle, and that way you can easily separate your tickets when you're hanging them across the line. Where you'll see thermal printers being used as kitchen printers is places where the kitchen is exposed, so something like a barista, coffee place, maybe a sandwich place where the kitchen is right next to where they're taking orders and they don't want the sound of an impact printer to kind of ruin the ambience that they have in the settings. Additionally, there's a new type of paper called re-stick paper or max stick paper that is sort of like a post-it note combined with a receipt printer. So it can print like it, and then you have a little bit of a tackiness to the back, and then you can stick it on like a coffee cup. So that way, if like you'll see orders coming out, and they'll just stick the kitchen order right to the food item or drink item. That way it prints quietly, and it also sticks to the item that it goes to. So kind of a cool new product on there. The downfall though, again, if you're using heat, is that the paper will react to it. So if you have anything warm, so like a heat lamp or a hot stove, then you can see how it kind of turns black there versus an impact receipt that doesn't get affected by it at all. So something to keep in mind, if you're working with heat, you're still going to want to go with an impact printer, but if it's a cool environment or room temperature, you don't have to worry about anything changing the color of the receipts, then a thermal printer might work as your kitchen printer. One other thing to note for re-stick or max stick paper is that you need a printer capable of using that type of paper. Here I have a extra adhesive brand version of the max stick paper, and if I try to print a receipt, what happens, you can see how it jams. It won't do that. The tackiness gets stuck to the roller and it won't work. There's a special version of the printer for using this type of paper. Make sure you order that type of printer. So this has been an overview on kitchen printing. Impact printers are still very popular for kitchen printing. They are louder, but in a way that is a better thing, because kitchens are quite noisy, especially if there's like music going, there's multiple people on the lines, and when the printer prints, it's almost like a Pavlovian response, and the people working in the kitchen know that that sound means there's a new order and they have to get to it right away. So the sound is actually a bonus in that situation versus a very quiet printer. If that prints, sometimes you won't even realize a new order is there. So the sound is actually kind of good. So that's Kitchen Impact Printers overview. For more information or to purchase, please visit us at POSGuys.com. Thanks.